And welcome everyone. We should be live, and let me double check everything on the YouTube side. Yes, that's it. We're live. So after 2 weeks break, we are finally back. And so we have one show today. We will have one show next week. And after that, I need to see if we do a break for Christmas. Anyway, we will be back in 2021. I'm really happy to be back for the show. It was 2 really busy weeks for me. A lot of customer engagement. So yeah, happy to relax a bit with the show now. We will start the interview in a few seconds. What I wanted to say, hey, I see a lot of people there on the chat already. Hi, Sun, James, Philippe, Aurélie. It's great to see you all there. Also Utsaf. Okay, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Anyway, so we have the interview today, some live coding, some gaming. I will see what we do, okay, like usual. And yeah, now you know it. Before we start the interview and before I start the jingle, I always play an instrument. So 2 weeks ago was the handpan, and then it was the guitar, and now I'm back to the clarinet. So I will play a little bit, few seconds of clarinet. I will launch the jingle, and then we will start. There we go. And now I need to put the jingle. Yes, we are live. So, hello Alex, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me here, Sebastian.
Yeah, no problem. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So let me just put my clarinet away. Yeah, I always try to make, we don't have any budget to have a real band playing like in the TV shows, so I do the band. So anyway, yeah, again, thank you for being here. And could you introduce yourself for everyone?
Yeah, I'm sure some of you already have heard of me or some of the work that I've been associated with. I'm a developer from the UK, from England, and I have my own software company. And one of the main things that we do in the company is create and look after the OpenVAS project, which is serverless for Kubernetes, and also you can run it on a single VM if you want with our new FASD project. Also the founder of Inlets, which is a network tunnel. You can replace a VPN with it, or you can use it like you would have done with ngrok to expose a Quake 3 server, for instance, from your Raspberry Pi, which might become interesting later on. But one of the things that I think not everybody knows is that I haven't always been doing my career this way, and it was about 18 months ago I stepped out on my own. And I just couldn't find a job that would allow me to work on OpenVAS and give it the amount of attention it needed as an open source project, and I ended up creating it. So unfortunately, I don't get to spend 100% of my time on that because I would be very poor otherwise. But a lot of my time spent doing developer brand consulting for companies. We've got clients like Rancher and DigitalOcean and Sivo, where, one of the things maybe we can talk about today is community. They just need a little bit of help and direction, and with a bit of input can do much more than they perhaps could have done otherwise.
Yeah, sure. We will probably, we will for sure talk about the community. I love that. And yeah, I was reading about your README in GitHub, and I could really relate on the thing that you said, that it's really frustrating that on open source project people come and go. They are really invested when they need it, and they're really active, maybe too much active, and then they disappear. And yeah, I can really relate to that, because we see it for our own project, and it's so frustrating. So maybe before we talk about community, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I mean that is community to me. When I first sat down and thought, I'm going to start trying to make serverless something I can run on my own computer, before I even created OpenFAS. And it was very much about me and the way I wanted to work on my personal itch to scratch. But I quite quickly realized that working on your own, there's only so much you can do. And there's only so many ideas you have. And out of necessity more than anything, I went about methodically building a community. And to begin with, there was nobody there, right? It was just me. And it's taken 4 years to build up a community of connections and friends that, like Utsav, you mentioned him on the call, that have come along for the journey and want to be part of it. And I think, when you look at any community, it's something that gives you a place to feel valued. Some people contribute because in their day job, they're having to do boring process-driven work, or they can't use a language they like, I don't know, Go. Maybe they can't even use public cloud. That was me a few years ago. One of the other things they get is, if you've got a vision and a leader there, is they get a sense of common purpose and pulling together in the same direction, right? And that's something that I remember when I first started playing around with Docker even longer ago, and Raspberry Pi, is this sense of we're in the same boat. We're trying to do this thing together. We get it. And I think that's something that can really help, in life, is just having a sense of, this is what I do. This is something that I'm interested in, whether it's a hobby or software community. And one of the things that I've read recently about, because we're all more isolated through COVID, is that people are experiencing more well-being and inner peace through being part of a community and all the things that were mentioned.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. And the great thing is it's easy. It's easy. You don't need to have too much technical skills to be able to embrace a community, to join a community. And the OpenFAS community is huge. Is it big? Do you have a lot of traffic? Do you have a lot of things to manage? Because I remember I worked on Keycloak project, which was growing faster than we ever thought, and we didn't manage to handle the community. And you are creating some frustration by some people because you are not handling their PRs or. So how do you manage that? I'm interested to hearing that, because it's a big challenge, I think.
It is a challenge, and one of the challenges that I wrote about last year was just working with volunteers. You mentioned earlier this transient nature of people coming and going, but nobody actually being fully responsible or having their neck on the line or them being on the hook for something that happens. And to some extent, that is a tension, and that is something that I'm sort of exploring and learning more about. As much as I would love to delegate every responsibility and every part of the project to someone else, they aren't paid or necessarily motivated to show up and do things in a reactive, responsive time. And so I think part of it is setting expectations. I get no money from OpenFAS. I get paid nothing at all. I actually saw one of my friends on Twitter this morning complain about users asking for, priority responses on the weekend. He's paid by his employer a decent salary to work on that project. I'm not. neither is anybody that contributes to it. And I think there's a kind of there's a sense of being in the same boat together, right? And sometimes you have to let the pressure be seen for other people to come in. One of the things that I've done wrong in the past is trying personally to keep on top of all of the messages in Slack, all of the GitHub issues within a couple of hours when they come in. And what it does is it doesn't create the space for somebody else to come and be themselves and apply their leadership. Now, one of the things that I think is difficult to understand, and sometimes we don't quite grasp, is that leadership is a frame of mind. It's not an authority or a position. So you can show individual leadership by curating issues, by taking a special interest in a certain area or subsystem of a project like Keycloak or OpenFAS, by asking where help is needed, or by trying to bring new people in or suggest an initiative. That is leadership, and those are the skills that are needed in a community. You don't necessarily need to be a core maintainer or employed by the software vendor to be a leader. Now, unfortunately, that's not always the most popular role to take on, despite obviously the name being quite appealing, because there's nothing worse than leading from the front and looking behind yourself to realize there's nobody there. And that's been where I've been on a number of occasions. Like when I first launched OpenFAS, I thought the community would develop overnight. The people would just come and contribute, and companies would just use it in production. And I couldn't have been more wrong. It took lots and lots of active push to start to build the momentum. And I think even after you stop on a project, let's say that you wound down Keycloak or OpenFAS, you'll see the momentum was still there, and it will carry on even after you've stopped inputting into it. But it takes an enormous amount of energy, and not just brute force, but you have to do the right things to get that community started. And I think that's where, over the last 18 months in my company, I've been helping other companies understand where to put their limited efforts to create that community and get it momentum going.
That's great. So so you're mentoring other companies to how to manage and set up communities.
Yeah, I mean, one of the companies that I worked with mainly last year, was Civo. It's a small cloud company in the UK, and they were losing Twitter followers month by month rather than gaining them, and they had this goal to get up to 1,000 followers. And I went on site, and we had some discussions with their team, talked about what they were doing, gave them some ideas. And for them, if only now today, months after, stop sort of engaging actively with them, seeing some of those things coming into fruition. And it just gives you an idea of the timeline that these things take. It's never going to be overnight. And when you've got a limited budget, it just takes time and commitment. One of the things that personally I find is helpful is to have somebody like a figurehead or a developer advocate who can create personal connections with other people, right? Rather than it being sort of ambiguous or feeling like a number or just another person in the community.
So you try to tell people that they should have a dedicated advocate in their team, or
there needs to be somebody who's got the time to give other people time, because that's how we feel valued, and also to have the connection. And I play that role a fair amount with OpenFAS, and what we've sort of done since I went independent is created this community that doesn't just contribute to OpenFAS, but also works on inlets, this network tunnel, Ketchup, a tool for building K3s clusters, and Arcade, basically a portable Kubernetes marketplace. And what you'll see is that people will come in on one project, contribute there, get that connection, and then they'll contribute in other areas. And sometimes it's a case of understanding, like, what are they there for? They seem to have a lot of time during the day. Maybe they've got a few spare cycles. Maybe they're not as engaged as they could be at their job. Okay, give them things that they can take on. Maybe test what they're good at. Can they write a blog post? Can they contribute a feature? Is it going to be bug fixes? Are they better at Kubernetes YAML files, and try to give them stuff and coach them and build them up. And yeah, you will see this ebb and flow. People will come and go. But then one of the things that you'll sometimes see is just loyalty. And I don't really know the recipe for that. It's a number of different things. But I think it's about creating a vision, creating that personal connection, and then if everything lines up and the numbers come out right, they'll be loyal. And you have to show up and be a good person and have integrity and value them. And yeah, that costs you something. It's cost me something. But having somebody that is around to bounce ideas off and to look into issues for you, I don't know, just turn up to an event like this, like that Sav's done. That's the kind of loyalty that personally I think goes way, way further.
Yeah. And as you said, it's hard to find how the things are lined up to make them loyal, and it's not easy because you have to be kind, but you also have to set the limits for some projects. Well, I had really motivated people on Keycloak. They with a really nice PR, but that was just solving their use case, and you have to tell them, sorry, you did a great job, but we won't integrate that in the project. And that's hard to say because you put a lot of effort in that, and you documented it, and yeah, these are it can become complicated. But again, if you say no, they will see that you're loyal, that you are clear at least, and that you are sincere, and I think that's really important.
One thing that people will know about me, and I think it turns some people off, is that I will say what I mean, and I would rather tell you than leave your pull request open for 12 months and then have an inactivity bot close it. I'd rather tell you, this is the process. We raise an issue, we discuss it and decide if that's the right solution. And once we've all agreed that's what's going to happen, go and do the PR, rather than getting one or ignoring it. And, I feel like perhaps now I'm the thinnest spread I've ever been. And there are times where there are issues that somebody's not replied to it for, I don't know, it's been there for a month. People take that very personally, and they interpret it and they attach malice to it when it's really not there. And again, I think there's a difference between people like the Keycloak example. They've got a very narrow use case. It's just about them doing something in the way they want to do it. They turn up, they know what they want to change, or they know what they need. And having a maintainer's hat on, and that's what some of these more loyal people have as well, is what helps you understand, does that fit into the vision? Is this really what we want to create? Something that's been a course of debate for OpenVAS is whether we should have volumes on functions. It opens a can of worms. There's things about the way volumes work on Kubernetes that just makes it very complicated. And most of us that care about the project and use it don't have that use case. And if we did, we'd probably spend more time on it. But there'll be, that small amount of people that come that are convinced that it needs to be added. Whilst I'm very happy to offer them alternatives, use a Kubernetes job, I don't know, use Argo, go and look at something else. It's always difficult, and sometimes I take it personally when there are rude comments or people just don't seem to understand. Yeah, I know. On issues or on Jira's, and hey, what's up? You still haven't fixed that, and you learn. Any update on this?
Any update on this, exactly. And you have to learn. Sometimes I write a reply and don't send it. I say, no, let me not send this. If you doubt about sending it, it means that you don't have to send it. And then I take a step back and say,
one of the sort of tricks that someone said to me, and it's just common sense, is if you're conflicted about answering or you feel sort of emotional, have someone else reply to it. Now look, here's something. There's a community of people that contribute, but there's also another community of people who I think are inspired by being independent of any corporate company. and living this dream as they see it of working on OpenFAS or working on what you want to work on. And it is anything but the dream. Most of my time is sort of spent figuring out how to pay for OpenFAS or how to get the next client to see the value of community or sort of buy into what we can do for them. But there's a whole bunch of people that have come along for the journey that aren't particularly involved in OpenFAS or necessarily use the projects, but they want to support, and I think they believe in open source and this way of life, and they'll become a GitHub sponsor on my page on GitHub. From there, every week I send out an insiders update, and this has always a feature or a introduction about some topic or news of the week, maybe some tips on, once I covered the book, how to influence people and make friends, but I changed it to how to make PRs and influence maintainers. And I gave 10 points that basically, if you followed that, I'm likely to merge your pull request within a day. And week by week, it'll be different things. I'm going to look at the M1 laptop that I've ordered soon as well. And I think, there's folks there who are VP level, who do no technical work, that really enjoy it. And there's folks that use some of the software, that see the project updates that come afterwards. And then giving back, some of the insiders have their own blog posts, whether it's about Inlets or Quake 3, and give them the opportunity to send me the links and have them featured too. So there's a bit of a community around that. And the more the merrier. It starts at a very low price, but then you get the email, you get to support it and be part of it without necessarily identifying as OpenFAS being a big part of it.
Yeah, it's the community. So you mentioned, let's talk a bit about, we spoke about contributing to a project, but there's the project itself that you need to promote, a bit more about the community management. How do you sponsor, how do you promote your project? How did you do that for OpenFAS? Is it most of the time on Twitter or blog posts or what are your types?
If you want to promote something, I think something that we can often miss out on because it's outside of our control is the power of word of mouth, which goes back to the community again. If you can have more users and more users that are delighted with your project, or even if you have a product or service with that, then they are the people that will go and tell others about it, that will build your community and get you more traction, will be writing blog posts, doing events. And something that sort of astounds me is there's a community markdown file in the OpenFAS repo. There's like 300 or 400 blog posts and events now, all around the world, from people that have touched it and enjoyed it, and have gone on to write about it. That, I think, just speaks volumes. When you come across something, you're looking up an issue and you see a project mentioned, far more likely to use it than landing on the project website, on the blog or a tweet that might come across self-promotional, or, developers tend to be quite discerning.
Yeah. What you need, are ambassadors in your community. Sometimes, I remember with the Key Cloud project, we were thinking about that people that answer the most questions on our mailing list and which are not part of the team, we try not so, it was like a badge system, but something to make them feel important, because they are important, and that helps to, I don't know, that was a tip given by Emmanuel Bernard from the Hibernate project. I remember, you probably know him. And I had a chat with him a few years ago about Key Cloud because the community was growing too fast and I did not know how to manage it in the team. And he said, try to promote, to make ambassadors inside your community, and that will help. And so,
I mean, if you give somebody a title, then that becomes part of their identity. And, I had that when I was a Docker captain so much. I've spoken about this in the past that I remember speaking to somebody, he was the ex-chairman of PayPal in Europe, so pretty high up. And I explained to him what I was doing as a Docker captain and my day job. And he said, "Why are you working two jobs?" And that's an example of what happens when an ambassador program really gets you on the hook, is that you're working so much on it and so passionately that you almost like are working a second part-time job. And so you've got to be a little bit careful and discerning as a developer and just wonder whether, you're being taken advantage of. And if you yourself are the one that needs to set the limits and boundaries on what you're going to give and how much. Now, we talked earlier about sort of well-being. I think that one of the things that I found challenging recently, I was reading this book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and he talks about the difference between tricks and manipulations and inspiration. And one of the examples he gave was of the Wright brothers, who barely had any money, had a community around them, and managed to create the first flying aircraft. And then a really well-funded conglomerate of professors and academics that had millions of dollars of funding who couldn't do it first. And he talks about them being more inspirational, being more authentic, about them being able to pull together, right? And I think about 2017 sitting on a stage at DockerCon with IBM, with a bunch of other big companies, and holding my own, talking about this thing that I created in my bedroom with a bunch of unpaid part-time volunteers on the internet that was on the same stage as Lambda and a bunch of other products. And it was really terrifying, going up. But one thing that I found is that it was just inspirational for other people to see. But James, governor of Redmonk, said to me, you've been able to do with nothing what some companies can do with millions of dollars and a 10-person team. And I think the power of that is, you just can't understand it. But it has to be inspirational. It has to be doing something that people can get behind and believe in. It has to be convincing. And one way sort of Simon talks about in his book of doing the opposite is this idea of manipulation. So buy one, get one free, 10% discount, maybe you get $200 cash back on something. But he also talks about other manipulations that are a bit more subtle. And the thing is that eventually everybody just loses out with those. You, as a vendor, lose out because you can't really sustain discounting things in that sense. And as a consumer, you kind of start to expect that kind of discount and reduction. And so I'm personally trying to sort of figure that one out for myself. How is it that you can motivate people and use their inbuilt mechanisms, but also have something that's generally inspirational and not on any level manipulative?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, it's tricky again. How to be authentic.
I mean, your ambassadors program, right? That's an example of a kind of a manipulation. You give someone a title, they associate with it, then they do more. How could we sort of approach this in a more kind of in a fairer way? And I don't know if we need to, but I'm sort of reading that book. I'm up to chapter 2, and I found that quite challenging.
Yeah, I need to read it. Because even at Red Hat, top management, I sent an email. We had Simon Sinek as guest in an internal event 2 weeks ago. He was speaking about that. And I think Edson, probably Edson Yanaga, he was also talking a lot about, he's in my team. He was talking a lot about his book and Simon Sinek. So probably need to read it as well. And but yeah, as you said, it's hard to find how you can be authentic. I'm when I hear your story about OpenFast, I'm thinking about another small company. Well, Tommy Tribe. I don't know if you know David Blevins. It's a small company that has its own Java EE application server, and they are tiny compared to Red Hat, IBM, Tommy Tribe, and they try to build a community. It's a really interesting way how they build a community, and mostly was during conferences by building a tribe, as they told it. It's the name of their company, Tommy Tribe, building a tribe around them.
Yeah.
And It's and when you said you were on stage, well, it was the same for David Blanc. He was on stage for the Oracle World keynote, and he was standing there. There was someone from IBM, someone from Oracle, and he was there. And yeah. So I can really relate to that. Yeah, cool.
One of the things that I've also found quite inspirational recently, and reading it, it's sort of validating the way that I think I've been naturally wanting to lead as well, is the book by Basecamp on getting real. And this is obviously a company that's been built up in a bootstrapped way. And whilst I watch many of my friends with open source projects going on to go and capture VC funding and to get external money, this book basically tells you to avoid that like the plague. Try to keep your team size as small as absolutely possible, and try to deliver a little bit of business value and sell that today rather than waiting and doing a beta and a trial. Is actually find a problem that people are willing to pay for a solution, build something, ship it. And it's difficult because I think if you think about that post from Paul Graham that's done so well on the news this week, think for yourself. Don't know if you saw that yet.
No, not yet.
He talks about people that are independently minded and people that are conventionally minded. And I think that, this conventional mindedness says you need to go and get a VC capital to build a company that's sustainable. The guys at Basecamp have gone the opposite way and they've said you don't. And maybe they're more independently minded. And I do wonder about that. How often are we just going along with things because that's what you do or that's what's accepted? And like I said earlier, sometimes when you lead, it can be a really lonely place because you're having to challenge the status quo, and that's how we actually get innovation and how we get to new levels of working and new ideas. Can't just keep doing the same things.
Yeah. So, can you repeat what was it called?
Paul Graham had an essay. It was called "How to Think for Yourself." It was on the front page of Hackers. Yeah. Okay. I liked a lot of what he said. And he said, generally, if you have an idea and you want it to be innovative, it should be the kind where most people say that would never work, right? But you're the one that knows that there's a chance that it could. I think he references Airbnb, right? Because people just would have thought that's crazy. Same with Uber. Like when it first came out, I was no way I was getting into a stranger's car the first time I went to the US and have them drive me around. It just seems so unsafe when you're coming from Europe when you just would never think of that.
Exactly.
But look at the business now. And there's so many others that are like that, particularly in our tech sector, whether they're tech companies or they've just had to use tech to enable what they're doing. And that's challenging because I just think a lot of the stuff that we've all been doing has just been so boring in comparison and not innovative. It might be novel, but real innovation, that's a challenge.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm checking the time. Oh, it's already, we are already late on time, but
there's one other thing that I wanted to just say is that we've got the 4th OpenFAS birthday party on the 18th of December.
And we've got the tweet this morning. Yeah.
Got a really exciting demo for you. I'm personally really excited about it. It's the culmination of almost 3 years worth of work and various things aligning in the ecosystems. I think people are going to really love it, and we'll do a blog post and you'll be able to deploy the demo yourself and play with it. That's the 18th, and there's a special mug and there's a special jumper that you can find in our store if you want to get it and support us as well.
Okay, cool. So the 18th, 4th birthday of
OpenFAS. Yeah.
OpenFAS. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Let me see. I have 2 minutes left before I move to the next stuff. I got 2 questions for you, more technical questions. Yeah? Because I asked these questions to all my guests about Kubernetes. What is your favorite Kubernetes feature?
Yeah. I think the one thing that I really like when I compare it to something like Docker Swarm that we were all kind of counting as almost equal a number of years ago is the ingress system. And you'll find countless people that will complain about it. But for me, all I do is install an ingress controller, one command, then I can create these ingress YAML files, add cert manager and get TLS for endpoints, add wildcard domains and have that do all the routing for me. And it's just so much harder with something like Docker Compose and traffic and annotations. I mean, it's just such a joy to use that. And I hope that the new Ingress and Services API doesn't ruin it, because I know that it's going to be a lot more powerful. But I just want it to be, just that same simple experience for users.
Okay, interesting. You're the first one to mention the Ingress, so it's great.
In terms of what I want, right? Because I preempted you there because you did share the questions. I would like to see first-class support for Sidecar. There's a number of limitations around it today, like I think one of them was that the Sidecar sort of had to run forever. It couldn't run and then finish, or it couldn't run and then the other container attached to it end. There's various use cases around OpenFaaS that would make that really useful, and I know people are working on it. Through the webinars I've been doing on Kubernetes 1.18 and 19, I remember seeing it in the release notes and then getting pulled. So I'm sure that will come soon. And then I'd like to see a way of starting a container faster and serving traffic to it. Because in Kubernetes today, there's a health check that runs every second. And so if you run a container and it's not quite ready, you've always got a 2-second penalty for a cold start of a container to serve traffic. And you have to do all sorts of tricks and hacks to get that lower.
That's right, and it makes even more sense for OpenFaaS or serverless or Kubernetes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people think about serverless particularly, but just any PaaS or any application that you're running, it would be great to be able to serve traffic from it immediately as it's ready, rather than having to wait for the distributed system and its setid and everything to do its dance and send all the messages around and run a health check.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Cool. So, Alex, thank you a lot for this interview. Lot of great stuff. Checking the chat here. But yeah, people are chatting. What did James? Yeah, okay. I'm going to continue on my side. I want to do some live coding for the people. Again, Alex, thank you so much for joining.
You're welcome.
So, people, don't forget, the 18th is the birthday.
18th of December, yeah.
Yeah. I think you will find all the info on the OpenFaaS Twitter handle, or even your handle.
Yep.
And so be sure to be there to see the wholesome demo. I will put it in my calendar anyway. Okay.
Yeah, and take a look at the insiders updates and on my GitHub sponsors page. I know Christmas is coming up and a few people are feeling the pressure, but it's a small amount and it helps everyone out. And then, if there's an itch that you've got and you want to kind of learn Go, you want to contribute, want to be part of a community, we'd love you to come and participate and be a part of that with us.
Okay, awesome. Hey, Alex, thank you, and speak to you on Twitter probably.
Yeah, thanks. All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. So we are late in time, but we had a great discussion. So I hope everything is fine with you. That the quality is not too bad. I see my feedback, and it doesn't look like really clear. So anyway, I was planning to do some live coding, but I'm late in time. That I will still do it. What I wanted to do is still a bit about Quarkus, because Quarkus is my favorite Java stack. And I realized I showed you a lot of stuff around it, but I didn't show you one important aspect of it, which is persistence. And I just wanted to do a really quick demo about persistence. And the fact is, I want to make a really small app that you can interact with, where you can put your favorite Kubernetes feature. Okay, so it will be just like a to-do app, but instead you put your favorite Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so let me go to the to my other screen share. Let me double check. I see myself on the feedback in the screen share. Yeah, okay. So I got 4 minutes delay. You see, that's the you see here the studio of YouTube. Okay, let's go. So I'm going to create a new project. Okay, generate new project. It will be a Maven project. KP's favorites. Yeah, I did a rehearsal this morning. Live. Oh, you know, one more thing. Let me just finish that. I will call that favorite resource. Okay, there we go. And I want all these extensions. Yes. Okay. What I'm doing right now, since yesterday, I'm trying a vlog. The project has been generated. Open a new. I'm doing a vlog, so I'm trying to record myself the whole day long, not the whole time, but at some periods. And every night I put all the videos together, and so people can see what I do. And what I will do now is just record myself for a few seconds. So here's the inception, and let me just record here. Everyone, so I'm speaking to my vlog now, but I'm live and people are listening to me, and I'm about to do a live demo. So this is a show, and you will see this video, this small video that I recorded tonight when I will push my stuff. Let me stop the recording and we go back. There we go. Okay, so what I want to do is a small application with persistence. I already added, oh, you know what? I think I'm getting hit by a new release of Quarkus. I hope not, because a new version has been released. Let me see. Oh no, there we go. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to do some persistence. So what I need to have is a persistent entity. So let me create an entity called favorite.java. Okay, and it will be a class, and it's not an abstract class. Come on, Java. It's a class, and there we go. Okay, if my computer starts to play with me, that won't work. Okay, and it will be an entity. Okay, it will be an entity. And what I can do with Quarkus is to extend my entity with Panache. Okay, Panache, there we go. Panache entity. And Panache entity, this base class will handle for me the ID, the finders, the CRUD operations, the entity manager. So I can just stick to writing my properties. Here I can say not sting, that is a singer, string, and I make it public. Okay, there we go. Let me just remove this disturbing. Okay, there we go. A string and the feature, because I want people to be able to add their favorite feature. Okay, and I will have a front end here called a favorite. There we go. And the first thing that we will do is that you can get all the favorites. So that will retrieve JSON. Come on. JSON, that will retrieve JSON, and that will be list features. Okay, all the features that people can enter, I want to send them back, and that will be a list. Okay, and this list will be a list of favorite. There we go. And what I can do here is just do a favorite list all. Okay, so here I got my favorite. Awesome. And I also want people to be able to add a new feature. Okay, so I need to do a post. Okay, let me do a post here. And the post will produce some JSON. It will also consume some JSON. No, it will consume text, because I'm going to change something. Text. There we go. text plain, and I want it to be transactional. I will never have time to build that. But anyway, let's try. And I return a response, and I do here create feature, and that will take a string containing my feature. String feature, there we go. And then I do a favorite. It's a new favorite. There we go. And my favorite as a feature is this feature, and there we go. And then I can do favorite dot persist, and there we go. Let me see. I have to add my imports. Whoop, and consumes deck. Okay, and create feature, and here I return a new response. Okay, which will be an status with status, and the status is this one is created with my entity favorite. There we go. Built, and I return this. So I'm done with my application almost, because I won't have time to do all what I wanted to do. You know what? Well, just to show you that it works, I still need to do two things. I need some properties, gbdc. Come on, give me completion, please. So he's loading my Quarkus properties. While he's loading, let me double check that the check goes right. Yeah, everything goes right. Goes right here. Awesome. Do I have my properties? Yes. gdbc dot URL, and it will be gdbc gdbc 2.h2 mem default. So here I use h2, and then I say db kind, it's h2, and I say hibernate generation is create and drop. Okay, and that's it. I have my application. Let me add an extension, because I won't have time to deploy it, I think, because if we have 10 minutes left for the game, I hope it will work. Anyway, let me add OpenAPI, this one, because that will give me Swagger. Okay, so let me do that. Oh, look, it's taking a lot of time, because there's just a new version of Quarkus that has been released 1 hour ago, I think, and Visual Studio Code is always up to date. So it's the second time or third time that happened during a live coding demo. I got a new version, and he has to download all the jars. But let me start this Quarkus dev. There we go. And I'm starting my app here. Yeah, look, he's downloading the internet. But it's fast, okay, it's running. So if I go here and I open my localhost //80 Swagger, awesome. Unrecognized GPA schema generation action. Oh, it's create and drop. It's drop and create. No? Drop, drop and create, probably. Let me try it again. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we got favorite. I can post my favorite. So probably try it out. For instance, try it out. My favorite feature is the scheduler. Okay, I execute that, and Alex's favorite feature was ingress. Ingress. Let me put that there. Execute. Okay, and if I do a get here, and I execute it, I should have here my feature. So I got my persistent layer. You see, it's working. And my plan was to also show you how to use a templating engine of Quarkus. Cute, but I won't have time. And what I did, and just to show you my skills, test show. Let me go here. Test show. I should have a public route here. And there I can go to a favorite front. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. It doesn't work. I don't know why. Anyway, let me go here. Projects. Let me check out why. Workloads, deployment. I should have here deployment. My deployment is there. When it doesn't work, what do you do? Well, have you tried to stop and start it again? So let me do that. It's scaling up to 1. Let me see. There we go. And let me refresh that. Maybe something's wrong with the cluster with Amazon. Maybe Amazon is down again. That would be awesome. Anyway, that's not going to work. I will share this later, but I created a small front end for this. Oh, there we go. It's just really, really, really slow. Okay, the scheduler. Okay, and the refresh doesn't work really well. So let me just put that in the chat. You can put some stuff there if you want. Okay, but I got 9 minutes. That's going to be really short. But what I wanted to show you, and actually it's because a tweet of Alex, he tweeted last week, is you can deploy Quake Free, the game, you know, the Quake GS version. You can deploy that on OpenShift, yes, but on Kubernetes. If I look for Kubernetes Quake Free, oh, there it is. You got this project, okay, and Quake Cube, and all you have to do here is to apply this example YAML. So I did that yesterday. I deployed a new cluster. I created a namespace Quake. Okay, I deployed the YAML, and then I created a route, and that's the route, and we can try it. So let me copy the link. I hope you have a good connection, because it has to download a bit the game before. And if you go there, if you click there, you should be able to go in a Quake game. Okay, so let me load it. Let me remove the sound, not so hard. And there, that's me, that's Sebi, so you can join. For you, it will probably take some time to load the game. I already loaded the game, but, and look, that is a game. Oh, let's start anew, yeah. So, look, so it's the real Doom game. Yeah, look how good I am. And you can just join me if you want. Oh, connection is not really good, so I think there's an issue with the cluster. Pitbull, oh, there's Pitbull. Hey, how are you? So Pitbull can play, but the great thing here is that the game is running on my cluster. So I can manage the configuration, which maps I want, how many bots. Yeah, and I'm a gamer after all, so oh look, I love this. So let me see. Pitbull is there, so we got one player. If other people want to, I'm sure Sun is trying to join as well. I know Sun. Where are you? I think I killed myself. Yeah, I killed myself, but I killed also someone. Where are you people? Oh, there's the dude. Oh, look. That's cool. Are there other people? No, no one else is joining. Or you have a really bad connection, or you're afraid of me, which is possible. Okay. But anyway, you see this game is running here in my browser. That's also cool. I did a new version of Quake. I love this game. I played this game so many times. I'm sorry, Pierre. Maybe, Pierre, you don't have a mouse, no? That was my challenge yesterday. I was on my laptop. I didn't have a mouse. Okay, let me put me here and let me double check. You're going to... You got to develop a Pong demo. James, yeah. I will try that. Oh, there's Sonic's Daddy. Oh, David, there you people you're joining. Oh, there's Alex also. Oh, cool. Super cool. People are there. So we still have 5 minutes to play before the end of the stream. And I don't know how your ping is. My ping is... Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, that's Alex. Alex is there. Anyway, this time no pod creation. I didn't hook it up yet with the creation of pods, because that's what I usually do in my games. I didn't find any hooks yet. I don't know if any hooks are possible. And anyway, I will leave the server open for a while. And then... Oh, someone is playing with the wheelgun. There's Darth Vader as well. Okay. Where I... Oh, good. So a lot of people are there. Oh, yeah. There are not even bots anymore. Bots has been replaced. That's cool. And if you look at the Twitter of Alex, you will see that he managed to make that work on a Raspberry, I think, with K3S, you know, the distribution. And he managed to deploy it there. And I played it, I think it was this weekend. I had a lot of fun. So we have 3 minutes left. Let me see the chat. Okay. Anyway, I'm happy because some people joined. Oh, let me I want to do the railgun. Yeah, there we go. I love this game. This game never gets old. This game is more than 20 years old, I think. No? Probably. And yes. 5 minute warning. Yeah, well, I got a 2 minute warning before the end of the stream. Okay, let me just go there with the machine gun. I will do the last frag, and then you can continue to play. Oh, it's a railgun. That was nice. Anyway, I won. I got 12 frags. First time I win in my games of the show. Oh, Senix, there you are. Where are you? Look. Oh, I killed myself. Okay. Anyway, you can continue to play. I'm going to exit the game because I need to... But anyway, if you have a cluster somewhere, or you just go there, let me put that in the chat, and that's it. Okay, you go there, you have an example YAML file, you deploy it, you have to open a root or an ingress. I used an OpenShift root, and there you are. It's just working. I need to leave you. Next week we have Tug from Reddit. That will be fun as well. I hope you enjoyed the show, and see you next week. Bye bye.